Welcome to the VHS Vault. I'm one of your hosts at VHS Jason, of course, right next to me with, I think it's Demona, Jason Roy Gaston.
Hello,
Murder
Mr.
Bean.
Burton. Excuse me, I have to leave. All right. Oh my goodness, I'm excited about today because this is actually one of my, I would say, top 20 favorite movies of all time. And I'm so endlessly fond of this film.
I think we all are. And you know, the strange thing about this film for me, Jace, is I liked it when I was a kid, but fell in love with it when I became an older teenager. I didn't quite get it when I first saw it, but yeah, it is now. I think it's just about any film lover's top 50 list, at least, you know,
It's
minimum.
got to be. Before we reveal what it is, don't look behind us. First of all, we have to say that this movie is being brought to you by a suggestion from one of our Patreons. James Gibbons said, "Hey, will you do this movie for us?" And we were like, "Absolutely we will. You're a Patreon. We do anything for our Patreons. Anything." So, yes. So what movie are we doing?
We are doing John Carpenter's classic 1986 Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh my gosh.
Starring Kurt Russell and Kim Cattrall.
They don't make movie posters like that anymore. It's so beautiful.
It is. It is beautiful. I think that's your Drew Struzan as well, if I'm not.
It is. Yes. And I've met the man, and he's charming, and he hates
a legend.
He hates the movie posters that are out today, and I don't blame him.
No, because Drew Struzan doesn't copy and paste from Photoshop like me. He actually draws. He is a unbelievable artist. However, there are some really big players in this movie, as far as I'm concerned, who are really hitting their strides. This is at the time, everything was John Carpenter's the thing. Big Trouble in Little China doesn't have the John Carpenter's moniker above it. But for me, Jason, I think this is one of his best films.
Oh, it's one of his seminal films. And if I may say so, I believe, and I don't mean this as a slight against him, I believe he peaked with this movie. I think that this is his magnum opus when on a day 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, when John Carpenter leaves this world, this is the movie that I do believe a lot of people are going to look back on with fond memory and say, that was my favorite John Carpenter movie.
Well, for me, it's the Fab Four. It's Halloween. It's The Thing. It's this. And then it's, oh my God, why have I gone? They Live. They're the Fab Four John Carpenter movies for me.
Yes. The man has made some great movies.
And you think about those four films, and there's a slew of other great films in there as well, all really done in a 10-year period, Jason.
Yes.
Over a decade-long period. So this is him on fire. The other person, the main star of this film, not the leading man, we'll get into that, but the star of this film is Kurt Russell, who to me has always been a big star, but apparently not so much. This is a film that he needed for his career at the time. Things weren't going so well for Kurt.
Yes, and they did not want to hire him. They wanted Clint Eastwood. And
you imagine
it would have been, "So you're Lopan. Well, let me ask you something. The hell is this movie about? I don't understand it."
How could you pull off Clint Eastwood playing a sidekick character?
You wouldn't.
And he would never allow it. He would never allow it.
No, I do believe the studios would have interfered, and I think we would have gotten a movie that was way different than what we got today.
Now, this film had a budget, Jason, of it's not secure here, between $19 and $25 million to make Big Trouble in Little China. However, only made in its theatrical release $11 million.
It's a crime against humanity.
Well, by all metrics, mate, that is what would you say, a disaster.
That is a flop.
Which is very common when it comes to great films. Some of the greatest films we love of all time were flops. Shawshank Redemption was a flop. There's bunches of them. So
The Wizard of Oz was a flop.
There you go.
Treasure Planet was a flop.
Yes.
They're all classics today. It's because we don't appreciate what's right in front of us whenever it's right in front of us.
No. I'll throw Speed Racer in there too.
Yes.
It's very common for that to happen. So my only advice would be is never pay attention to box office results when it comes to quality of films. But this film here, wow. It works on so many levels. It is paced so perfectly. I think it's one of these scenarios, Jason, where just everybody was firing at their cylinders at 100% the whole time. Because look what we get.
I completely agree. I honestly don't think that there is a weak link in this movie. Everyone was into it. Everyone knew exactly what type of movie it was. I think that's John Carpenter's vision that he was communicating to everybody. I think Kurt Russell was such a strong leading man. I say he's a leading man, even though, guys, he's a sidekick in this movie. Even though he was the big draw in this movie, I think he knew exactly what kind of movie it was. James Hong knew what kind of movie this was. And it all came together. This was just a movie where creativity was firing on all cylinders, and it shows. It shows so well.
You know, I'll give a big props to Kurt Russell, though, to be a leading man who literally is playing a buffoon, and to be not only okay with it, but to be 1,000% on board with it.
Oh, yes. But you know what? It's such a great part. You have to show off your action chops. You have to show off your comedy chops, the timing. Honestly, I don't understand why Kurt Russell didn't do more comedy, because he's really good at it.
He is really good at it. He did do Overboard, but we'll let that go.
We don't speak of Overboard.
However, I suppose some people would say Soldier's a bit of a comedy. Oh, that's harsh, but
I've never seen it.
It's not that bad. People rag on it, but it's not that bad.
It's funny. Somebody on TikTok was running the trailer for it the other day, and I was like, "What is this? What's Soldier? I've never heard of it." Oh, it's Kurt Russell. Yeah, Walt Disney's last words. Walt Disney's last words was Kurt Russell, and no one knows why. If you want to know my opinion, I think Kurt Russell had him murdered.
Maybe in Kurt Russell's house is where they're keeping the body.
It could be. It's in the freezer, you know, between the chocolate chip ice cream and the frozen waffles.
Yeah, that's it. Goldie reaches in, grabs a Ben and Jerry's out.
Excuse me, Walt.
Yes.
See, now that would be a great horror movie parody. Walt's Revenge. We can use
as soon as he becomes public domain, we'll be good.
We can use the Steamboat Willie theme, you know.
Can you, though? Did you see a lot of YouTube channel videos are being shut down? They're like, Disney's still pulling copyright on them. So,
well, they think Disney found a loophole because they're using Steamboat Willie as their studio animation logo, and they think Disney's trying to play things dirty right now, because I did a short about Steamboat Willie, got claimed by Disney, and I disputed it. You know, here we are 10 days later, I've heard nothing back, but that's also what I've been hearing, is that people are disputing it. Disney lets it run out and then they reclaim it.
Thankfully, this is not a Disney film. This is a 20th Century Fox film, which before Disney owned it.
Yep. And so it's a Disney film now, which makes it makes Kurt Russell a Disney princess.
Yes, it does. He always has been anyway. In his own
that would have made Wreck-It Ralph 2 so much better, is if they introduced all the Disney princesses and Kurt Russell sitting there like, I don't even know what Jack Burton's doing here, but Jack Burton likes it.
Yeah, everyone relax. I'm here. Let's get into Jack Burton. What a character! He's some of the best lines. And they're cheesy. Like, if you weren't the comedic genius, you could really stuff these lines up. But the way Kurt Russell does it is just wonderful.
It's because Kurt Russell plays Jack Burton as if Jack Burton believes all of Jack Burton's nonsense. That's how he plays it, is that Jack Burton is a legend in his own mind, and Jack Burton believes that legend. Kurt Russell played him as the ultimate narcissist and egotist, even though he has absolutely no reason to be that way.
No, that's the brilliance of it. He thinks everyone else is a buffoon, but it's him.
It's all him.
Yeah, he has to take charge because everyone else is an idiot here. If I don't take charge, we're done for. And it's amazing. Big shout out to the actor that plays his friend Wang Chi, Dennis Dunn.
Dennis Dunn.
Who really is not on the poster significantly enough, but is the leading man of this film, is the main hero. He is the one who has the logic and sense and knows how to get out of problems, can back it up.
Yes,
Um,
we had and still have a problem with Asian erasure in Hollywood, where
mm,
now that is I like to think it's coming to an end with Stephen
mm,
Yeun and Michelle Yeoh, who are winning all these awards and accolades and who are stars in their
mm.
own right.
Ki Kwai
Hee Hee
coming back,
Kwan,
yeah. Ki
and
Kwai.
before them, people like Jet Li and Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
But during this time, yeah, there was Asian erasure. Unless you were the villain, if there's a white guy in your movie, you just weren't going to show up on the poster.
Mm,
And I really think that's kind of affected people's thoughts about this movie. Is a lot of people do think that Kurt Russell's is the star of this movie, but no, it's
mm.
Dennis Dunn. Dennis
It is,
Dunn is
and it's
the
Dennis
is the
Dunn, and it's
star.
a
He's
really
the hero.
sad story that you can lead a film, a Hollywood film, and almost disappear afterwards from the
Yeah.
screens. You know,
Yeah,
that's really
he
sad.
still works. He still had a
Mm.
pretty stable career, but he made one more movie with John Carpenter, which was Prince of Darkness, which also starred Victor Wong, who is also a legendary character actor. And then, yeah, he just kind of disappeared, and I don't think he should have. He had the look, he had the talent.
Yeah,
He should have gone a lot further than what he did. And I'm not trying
yeah,
to belittle his career. I'm sure he's very happy with his career. I'm just saying his career should have been bigger. He should
yeah,
have gotten more recognition.
yeah. Absolutely. The other lead in this is Kim Cattrall. Kim
Yes.
Cattrall, who's in fairly early on in her career, you would suggest, who is wonderful in this film. Yeah, who is the
If you know, you
love
know.
interest but non-love interest of Jack Burton, which again I love in this
Yes.
film, is the fact that they allude to a romantic relationship. They have their moments, but she, like everyone else, goes, "He's a moron. Like I'm not really gonna hook up with him seriously. Like he's not quite." But she was funny. She's got really good comedic timing. She is a wonderful, and especially at that time, I'm a big Kim Cattrall fan. Pre Sex and the City stuff, I think she was a talent back then.
Well, I think that you mentioned some movies that she was in. Well, Porky's,
Mannequin, of course.
Mannequin, which was I don't know if I've seen Mannequin. I think I
Mm.
have, but it's also one of those movies that has disappeared into the myths of my memory.
Oh.
That I don't know if I saw Mannequin or if I
Well,
saw Mannequin
all I
2.
can say is some people get confused because people used to see the Starship song, Nothing's Going to Stop Us Now, and it used to show bits of the film in it. So, because I know people go, I've seen that film. Oh, no, hang on, I haven't seen that film. I saw the music video to go with the film.
Maybe we'll
But
have to
yeah,
put that on the VHS
but
vault
she was
sometime.
also in Porky's as well. Very smart comedic actress.
Yes.
And she's a great foil for Kurt Russell in many ways.
Yes.
So
Yes,
which
he
is
is.
great. You mentioned Victor Wong as well, Egg Shen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like oh my, like he is just a wonderful actor, and the opening with him, I just love. Just a wonderful kind of interrogation scene when he does the magic thing. Love it, and of course the scene still is James Hong, right?
Yes. James
Who
Hong
is
steals every scene he's in,
magnificent.
and you know what? He deserves it. He
He
deserves
does.
to steal every scene he's in. From
You know what?
Kung Fu Panda to Everything Everywhere All at Once to anything he shows up in,
Mhm.
it's his. Just prepare for second billing if you are in a movie with international treasure James Hong.
Yeah, he's had a long and storied career, and just think he was elderly then.
Yes.
No offense, James, at all, but you were
He
elderly
is
then, and you were still nailing it 30 years
yeah,
later.
he's Betty White.
Yeah,
Betty White was in a TV show about being old long before the current generation was born. James
yeah,
Hong, I think he was born and he was 50.
yeah,
He just came out
yeah,
and was like,
yeah. Fantastic.
nah.
Such a. I don't know about you, unless you were into Asian cinema at the time. This is a whole new world, right? I mean, like, I don't think I'd ever seen a Hollywood production tackle this or pay homage to it, which I believe this film is trying to do. So it's something fairly fresh for the American audience, I would say, this movie and this plot.
Yeah,
Do you
I
think it
mean,
was too much for them?
I'm going to go even further. I think that this movie was so original that it's pretty much fresh and original to any plot, American, Asian, or otherwise, because this plot is out there.
It
And
is out there.
and what I love most of all about this movie is that it never feels like it has to stop and explain anything. Big orangutan monkey thing grabs Kim Cattrall. We don't need to explain that.
Nope.
Big ball of a big meatball with eyeballs all over it that can communicate telepathically. We don't need to explain that.
No, not
Black
at all.
blood of the earth. It's not oil. That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
And it's very smart the way they go about it. And I think that was probably the thing. It was so original. It was so pitched as this basic action comedy, but there was so much going on. I think everyone just took a moment to go, wait, what's going on here? Oh, I'll watch it again. It's amazing. It very heavily borrows with love from some of the great Chinese films, some of the great martial art films. I see a bit of Game of Death in this film, the way it's going into different, and then they're going to come back up. And John Carpenter, very, very vocally a massive fan of that genre of cinema. He copped a bit of flack when they were making it, in the sense that a certain segment felt that they were stereotyping Asians. And John Carpenter, bless him, went straight to the crew, went straight to all the Asian actors, communicated with them and said, look, do I need to be enlightened here? Is there something I'm not doing right? And they go, no, not at all. You're being very, very respectful. So I say that because there's been a lot of care that went into this film. It's not just a average director and filmmakers who can make a film that is so bizarre and so just moving at a whip pace, and it still all makes sense. It's a very rare talent to have, and I are just kicking butt here.
Absolutely, and I completely agree. If you were to look at this movie on paper, if I was a studio exec, I would be like, you sure you want to make this? But yeah, it works. It works because of John Carpenter's talent, the talent of the cast, the set designers, the special effects. I will say right now, nothing to me looked better than the hand-drawn electrical animation that you saw in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
Nothing looked better than that. You put it together with CGI, it's just not as good. I don't know
what
it is. I don't know what it is, but it just looks better.
The optical technique that they use is better. I would even say lightsabers looked better in Return of the Jedi than I think they look today CGI.
Yeah.
I think there's a texture that you get from the optical special effects with like Ghostbusters or something like this with the lightning that makes it feel real. Like the buy-in believable factor, I think, is higher because of that.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I also think that it helps suspend your disbelief. I think that current generations of special effects artists are so determined they're going to make everything look as realistic as they can that you find little things wrong with it. But whenever you're just like, oh yeah, somebody drew that with hand, oh yeah, that's a model. It's obviously a model. Look, you can see dust coming off of it. Yeah. I don't know. To me, I can accept that and I can keep going instead of sitting there cherry picking a CGI scene going, oh, look, Ant-Man's in the back of this shot, even though he's supposed to be in the truck in this scene.
Yeah. Yeah. But you don't get a lot of time here to think about things because you are, like you said, you're kind of moving into it. And there are just so many subtle things they put into this film that I love. Because, Jack, as much as I've called him a buffoon, he is a hero in his one way. He has one skill, which he proudly puts out there early in the film and proves it, all in the reflexes.
Yes.
Which help him throughout the film a couple of times, his reflexes. So that's a great little character bit that we see pay off again and again and again, which is really kind of wonderful.
And it doesn't come out of nowhere. That's what I like. It does not come out of nowhere. No, they set it up, they established it, and it's like, boom, there you go. Oh, okay, yeah, it's all in the reflexes. Gotcha. Yeah,
it's all in the reflexes. And the thing is, they don't bury the fact that he's not up to standard. Because from that scene where you think, no, Jack's the man because he just caught that bottle, he's the man. He talks the game, he plays the game. But that's quickly diminished when they get to that airport scene when he butt gets handed to him really quickly, which I love.
Embarrassingly so.
Embarrassing
He
so,
is
yeah.
steamrolled by this crowd, and it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, it sets the stakes really well, and that's the thing with this film. Without going through the entire film, the stakes keep getting higher in it, and it's really fun, and to the point where you think later on in the film, oh, they're getting out because they get all into the bus. No, 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 no. We ain't over yet by a long shot. We're going back in, and I really like that. There's just so much about this to adore. It's a movie that hurts your jaw because you're grinning through the whole thing. You're just smiling,
Even though there's danger in it, it's like fun danger. It's just it's just, I don't know. It's like you said, it's just fun. It's just a fun movie.
You may not believe Jack will get out of the situation, but you're pretty comfortable in thinking Wang Chi will at least get him out of that pickle. He'll be
Jack
fine.
will luck his way out of it.
Yeah.
He'll shoot the ceiling. The ceiling will come down on his head. He'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm always shocked that they weren't tempted to reuse this character in another adventure. Maybe not a direct sequel to Big Trouble in Little China, but I could have seen Jack Burton in getting into another strange adventure.
I could still see some kind of legacy sequel sometime down the road. I'm sure it'll be terrible, but I would go see it just to see Kurt Russell be Jack Burton again. If I will go see Escape from LA just to see Snake Plissken again, I'll go see Big Trouble in, I don't know, Little India just to go see, Jack Burton again. Yeah.
It's a great idea. Set in India. Be amazing.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Be amazing. Go make it now, please. But look, honestly, I think this is a film that deserves its standing with the fan base because this is a gem amongst in an era where action films were so serious all the time. We had our Lethal Weapons, our Die Hards, our Commandos, our Predators. To have something that is not only paying homage to the Chinese film, but making fun of the genre that they're playing in is, again, another stroke of brilliance that I don't think it may not be a conscious thing for most people, but it's one of the reasons people love it. It's because they are kind of making fun of the genre, and it deserves it at that point.
They're making fun of it, but it's good-natured, loving fun. And not only that, it's a fantastic action movie. It's a fantastic adventure movie. It's a fantastic fantasy and magic movie. I mean, it's just, this movie crosses so many different genres, and it does it so effortlessly that you'd think it was easy.
It has one flaw to me, and that is it is a hard film to explain in a 1 or 2 liner to people. So if someone says to you, hey, what's Big Trouble? Give me a tagline for what Big Trouble in Little China is, I have to talk a paragraph at least. I can't just say, well, it's about this guy and he gets caught into this Chinese underground mythical thing, but then you're really not really telling people what the movie's really about. It's a tough one to explain, which, again, I think it's a bonus.
Kurt Russell versus Mortal Kombat.
There you go. Probably, where you get.
That's it. Kurt Russell versus Mortal Kombat. Because you can't tell me that they did not watch this movie before they started making Mortal Kombat. Because you got thunder, rain, and lightning. Squish them together. There's Raiden. You've got James Hong, and that's Shang Tsung there. Shang Tsung. And you got Jack Burton. Guys, that's Johnny Cage.
Yeah. And, even Dennis Dunn is really playing like a Ryu character, like Liu Kang.
That's Street Fighter!
Yeah, sorry. Same. Except the films, they're equal, those films, by the way. One day we'll get into a massive debate about that.
Wait, are you saying Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat 95 level?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
No.
So I raise Street Fighter and I lower Mortal Kombat.
No,
so
I refuse.
Well, if somebody suggests on our VHS vault to do those 2 films, we'll have the opportunity to talk about them. Absolutely. And we're not in the same room, so you don't have that "you're wrong" little clip to play either. So, you just have to live with it. Anyway, back to this film. Lopan, great villain. Love the idea of it.
Yes.
You know, and what an introduction. His light shooting out of his freaking mouth and eyes.
And the prop that they made to not during that scene, but later on whenever he's an old man, the prop that they made where the skull like lights up from the inside. Oh, I love that prop. I want that James Hong head.
Yes.
I want to make a lamp out
I
of
want
it.
that Hong head for sure.
I do.
And again, yeah, then he's going to go in these prosthetics, which that's uncomfortable for the man,
especially 80s prosthetics. Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. But he still manages to emote at such a level that he steals that specific scene away from Kurt Russell.
Well, you know why though, right? Because it's James Hong.
It's James Hong. Exactly.
And James Hong is a treasure.
He's a treasure. A great villain, a wacky idea, a film that is okay. What do you think is the age limit here? I know kids are different. Some kids are more mature than other, but I reckon around 8 years old, I would show a young boy who's an average, mentally average kind of kid. I think you can, because there's not a lot of blood that goes on in this film, right?
There's not a lot of blood. There's not really
swears.
Yeah, there's. I remember the S word a couple of times.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd say 7 or 8. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think you can show them safely, and they have a little bit of fun with it, because there's no sexual content, and there's a kiss, but that's pretty quickly refuted by the main star. But yeah, there's a couple of kisses. That's it, right? The rest of it is very G. Actually, I don't know if this was PG or not. I assume it would have been PG back in the day.
This would be after PG-13. Let's find out.
Oh, yeah. So if it's a PG or PG-13. If it's PG-13, I'm surprised.
I'm going to say it's PG-13. Yep, PG-13.
Yep, okay. Well, it was a couple of years after it got introduced, wasn't it? Because
they were giving PG-13s to everything.
Yeah, it was Temple of Doom and Gremlins, wasn't it? That kicked that off.
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. Jason, I think this film, we could go through and we could break down every single scene, and we could describe to the audience a movie they've already seen 1,000 times, or if a movie they haven't seen, who are we to spoil it? You've got to go watch this if you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, you still need to go and watch it, because if you're in a bad mood, this is the movie to put on.
Yes.
If you're feeling down, this is the movie to put on. If you're feeling great, this is the movie to put on. I could not sell this hard enough unless I was working at Blockbuster.
This movie is cinematic happiness. Just put it on and it just makes you happy. I don't think anybody could watch this movie with a frown the entire time. Even if you're in the worst mood in the world, every now and again you go, that's it. That was.
I used to date a girl who didn't like it.
Oh, I'm glad you broke up with her.
Yes, we did break up.
You don't.
And a lot of it had
that
to do with distaste in movies too. You know, early on. Well, I was so pretentious as an 18, 9-year-old. Like an 18-year-old, like, you don't like that movie? Oh, I can't date you.
Yeah.
Who knew that I could try to pull that off, but I did.
Hey,
anyway,
you need to be picky. You've
got to be picky. And if you don't like Big Trouble in Little China, for the streets, lady, you're to the streets.
Yeah, just you don't need that level of negativity in your life.
No, you don't. You don't. I don't know how much more to add to this, Jason, by saying that it is a film that I think if you were going to be a filmmaker, you wanted to make these type of films, this is a masterclass sitting there waiting for you, because the way he structures his shots, the cinematography done by the legendary Dean Cundy. And if you don't know who that guy is, Chun-Li, go look at him. He's an Oscar winner. He's done hundreds of films, some of the best films you've ever seen. It's beautiful to look at, beautifully acted, beautifully directed. Go watch it. I have nothing more to say about this one, Jace. What about you?
I have one thing to say that I recently found out, and I don't know if I'll have time to check it out on my road trip this summer or not, but if you go to Yellowstone National Park and book a bus tour, there is a chance that you will be riding Egg Shen's bus, because that is where it's ended up, is that it is in Yellowstone National Park, carting people around Old Faithful and all of these other landmarks.
Are you kidding me? It's still functional. It's not a metal cube at this point.
No, it's a piece of cinematic history. They're not
I'm
going
glad
to,
they haven't. Yeah,
and
I'm
it is
glad they
still
haven't.
contributing to the culture of this country by showing people the most beautiful national park in existence.
Ooh,
Suck it, suck it, Yosemite. It's Yellowstone.
you've actually triggered a memory too. You know the street where the famous fight happens, the alleyway
Yes.
sequence, one of the
Yes.
great set pieces of the film. That set ended up being used. They didn't destroy it. It ended up becoming part of the studio where it would get repurposed in multiple films. Now, I can't remember any of the films listed, but John Carpenter talks about it in an excellent director's commentary, him and Kurt Russell too, which you can find on YouTube. And he talks about how and he lists off all these different films and TV shows they use that set for. So there you go. The film may have been done almost 40 years ago. However, it's still part of history. It's still around in some way.
That explains why David Lopan was in another 48 hours looking around like this.
Do we really need to bring up another 48 hours?
I just did.
First one I love. There you go. All right. Well, look, guys, there we are. We've given you our opinion on a film that it's really hard to be negative about. And if you are negative about it, may you, well, I won't say what I really want to happen. Just rethink your attitude.
Just do what Jack Burton says. Consider yourself checked, and you need to really reprioritize. That's what Jack Burton says.
Absolutely. Jack Burton. Now, we are moving on to another film next week. In a few days, in fact, we will be finally getting to the film that we've been building up for 18 months here. A film that sparked a conversation saying, we need to do a podcast about movies. Yes. And that is, Jason, Freddy versus Jason.
Masterpiece.
Freddy versus Jason. Like, we have gone through and done our retrospective on the Friday the 13th films. We've done it on the Nightmare on Elm Street films to lead to this. So that'll be very exciting, guys. That'll be next week. However, after then, we're reliant on you people to tell us what we should be watching next. And we need you to comment below, especially you Patreon subscribers. You send in your recommendation. I think by law we got to do it, right, Jace?
Absolutely.
So another reason to become a Patreon member.
Absolutely.
Because you've got to force us to do it, and we'll do it. We don't have a choice. So please, if you're not a Patreon member, all the details are below. Get on that because we're getting some great suggestions. We want a lot more. So until then, I think we're pretty well done here, Jace, are we not?
I think so. I think we're done.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time with Freddy versus Jason. See ya. Whew. All right.
Jack Burton says you need to wash your hands after eating a full meal and using the restroom. That's what old Jack Burton says. Jack Burton
you've done a heap of PSAs.
Jack Burton says, shut your cell phone off while you're in the movie. No one wants to see your Facebook page. That's what old Jack Burton says. Jack Burton
see the more you know logo playing afterwards.
Yeah, I said it just says